Oh my gosh, I totally forgot. It was Tesla AI Day today. I started seeing the news articles rolling in about how the humanoid robot Optimus was presented in a more fully finished form than a human in a suit. Did I hear you? I hear you. Oh my. Don't jump too far. I jumped too far. But I love that moment. Actually, that looked cooler than I expected. Okay, so just to set the stage for why this does interest me, I am on board with some of the comments that Elon has said about how he thought self-driving might get further along, but it turns out as we learn more, you either sort of solve it or you don't. It's more binary than I think people expected. You just have to have the Tesla car completely aware of all the obstacles and all of the variables. It has to have some sense of awareness of where it is in the world to such an extreme degree to be a great driver that it's almost trivial to then change the shape of the car to say, okay, now it's about fingers and legs. I mean, there's more actuators, there's more nuances, but if you've solved the problem of just awareness and ability to move around in the environment, the form factor is, I wouldn't say it's easy, but if you have the kind of production facilities that can build high-end robots, if you can really scale that out and you already have a customer base, you might be able to beat some of the examples that are technically ahead of you right now. So take something like Boston Robotics. I do think that they have some incredibly agile robots, the kind of thing that I'm not expecting Tesla to get to, but because of the user base, because of the system for sharing information, because of the investment in their supercomputer, because of their AI experts, it does kind of feel like they could win the mass market. They could do what Apple has done so many times in the past.
As you know, last year it was just a person in a robot suit, but we've come a long way, and it's I think compared to that, it's going to be very impressive.
Sets the bar low. I like it.
We're going to talk about.
Okay, I'm ready. Bring it out. I know what Boston Dynamics can do. They did try to keep that sort of skinny chest shape. Okay, actuators rotate the arms. All right. From what I was reading before, it sounded like it wasn't going to walk properly. I mean, I saw Osmo do this like 10 years ago, so I'm not totally mind blown, but I understand walking, bipedally is difficult in its own right. But if they have the systems for simulating a lot of driving environments, and you can just use those same physics, but change the form factor of what you're simulating, and you make it so that it's bipedal, so much of that seems like it would carry over and be useful in both places. So I am on board. I would not be surprised if Tesla robots become the dominant robot in households in some amount of years. Maybe we'll get some insight into how long he thinks that's going to be. And I feel like these kind of announcements, one thing I have absolutely no sense of is hardware. Like how fast can you actually build it? I know the Cybertruck is sort of an interesting form factor, partially because it makes it so convenient for ramping up production, right? There's something about that steel and the way it bends that makes it so it can come out of a line much faster than a lot of the traditional painted cars. I know they've worked on their assembly lines, and that's something that maybe those kind of things can be retooled into these other form factors in a way that really nobody else could very quickly. So I'm super curious about all of this. Or maybe if the same kind of technology that they're using to drive a car could be used to have a bipedal form factor, could also be used for the kind of arms and hands that have to assemble the big sheets of metal and screws and all the other things that go into a car. I don't even know, like the welding joints and all of that, because maybe the same advantage is going to give them a multiplier effect across the entire line. And then all of a sudden, man, they have the customer base, and they have the people with their credit cards, and they have people who are willing to pay $40,000-$50,000 for a car, and they say, hey, for $20,000, which I believe is supposed to be the expected price of the Optimus robot, those people are probably like, hey man, it's only 20 grand, it's half the price of my car, and if it can do some laundry for me or walk around my house, and they're the kind of people who are into this sort of thing, they got a Tesla wallet can plug into and solar panels. I mean, I don't know. Anyways, let me do some research here. Let's see what the announcements are.
What we're doing here at Tesla could make a meaningful contribution to AGI.
Yeah, I want to make a comment on his statement there about AGI, because artificial general intelligence has that ring to it that it's generalized so much that it kind of can make its own decisions in a scary way. So AGI is always my trigger word. That's like, that means, oh, we're getting general intelligence, and general intelligence is very much the kind of thing that I'm worried about, basically not being able to control and being the second, less dominant species on the planet. So, hopefully we have a controlled acceleration towards AGI, and Elon does that in a responsible way. I know he's aware of it, so hopefully that has trickled throughout the company.
Entity to do it from a governance standpoint, because we're a publicly traded company with one class of stock. And that means that the public controls Tesla, and I think that's actually a good thing. So if I go crazy, you can fire me. This is important. Maybe I'm not crazy. I don't know.
I think he was pretty sure he was expecting a bit of a chuckle there, but it's okay.
Autopilot, as well as progress with Dojo.
Dude, I hope we get to the Dojo supercomputer, because that's a key part. I mean, there's other computers that are doing amazing things, but the chip that they've done was incredible. The most interesting thing about the last AI day was seeing how their ASICs are all fitting together, and how they have sort of thought about the ways that they layer together, and that they're just willing to roll out their own solution in-house. And that's an important moat that they're building, and I think they definitely made the right move. As long as Elon has that amazing ability to keep raising money and invest in these things, it does feel like the kind of thing that would pay off, and it might be an advantage to have in-house. All right. From what I was reading before, it sounded like it wasn't going to walk properly. I mean, I saw Osmo do this like 10 years ago, so I'm not totally mind blown, but it's more sleek than I expected. A couple fans there where the heart should be. It's interesting. I mean, it looks like something you might see at Disneyland when you take off the Pirates of the Caribbean outfits, but it's fascinating. Yeah, does it better than I do. What can I say? It already beat my dance skills, so not saying that's even anywhere close to AGI, but still. They look like proud parents of a robot. That has nothing to do with Elon's 9 children. So that's not what I meant with that. I mean, God, that's so interesting. Like, I love seeing the vector space turned into something kind of human looking, and it seems like it identified pretty well how to just wrap its fingers around the bucket, water some plants.
To perfection.
This is really an actual station in the Fremont factory as well that it's working at.
That's an actual station at the Fremont factory. I forgot the first thing they can do is replace all the people that do all the things that they do, which will give them more money, and they can, yeah, that's interesting. That's like when I fill out like security CAPTCHA type things, and I see like, is this a bus or is this a front door or something? And I'm like, great. I'm just like teaching cars how to drive better than me, which is good. But it's like, I feel like I'm like, just to get access and prove that I'm human, I have to like train a computer to be as good as me. So artificial intelligence might be able to approximate any function, no matter how, complex it is. But simulations, just getting the physics right, and the fact that in this case, Tesla built a car with every nook and cranny built into the model, right? Every screw has been pushed in there, the density of the screws, the density of the material, how they all come together. And then they've, crashed it a bunch of times and compared it to the way a car would really crash into a wall to see if the simulation's correct. But when you refine it to the point that when you do real world things, it looks the same way as the simulation, you then really can start plugging in all sorts of scenarios, trillions a second that would never happen in real life, but a computer can learn from. And then you might get that jump in just intelligence, or at least a jump in capabilities. So this structural analysis is fascinating. I mean, it just feels like they're focused on so many things. I know a lot of other companies are too. Tesla just does a great job of presenting it.
We can play to the model